Hello there everybody, GrimmChorizo here, and welcome to the 100th episode of Wrestling Roundup. That's right, episode 100. And I mean, it's a big week. There's some pretty big, unfortunate, bittersweet news that we need to talk about. But let's start off with Monday Night Raw. So to kick off the night, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar signed the contract for their main event match at Fastlane. The winner of that match will go on to WrestleMania to face Triple H for the world title. So Chris Jericho was set to be the guest on Miz TV, but then Chris Jericho went out and changed the whole thing into the highlight reel, making the Miz his guest. Well, then AJ Styles came out, and the three of them kind of fought it out. On SmackDown, AJ Styles and Chris Jericho had their second match, and this time Chris Jericho got the win. Back on Raw, Adam Rose defeated Titus ONeil. That is right, Adam Rose got a victory. I can't think of the last time Adam Rose won a match. It has been months, but he won. So Dean Ambrose went out to the ring on Raw and basically called out Brock Lesnar and wanted to fight him. So Lesnar went out there and just destroyed Ambrose, but Ambrose would not stay down. Eventually, while Lesnar had his back turned, Ambrose gave him a low blow. Sin Cara made his return on Raw after being injured for the past month, and he and Kalisto actually lost in a tag team match to Rusev and Alberto Del Rio. The Usos and the Dudley Boys defeated the New Day and Mark Henry in an 8-man tag tables match. But after the match, the Dudley Boys turned heel by attacking the Usos and putting them through tables. On NXT, Carmella finally got her NXT Women's Championship match against Bayley, but in the end, Bayley retained the title. So the biggest news of the week has to do with Daniel Bryan, a big reason why I'm wearing this shirt. If you don't know already, I mean, you're basically living under a rock, but Daniel Bryan on Monday officially announced his retirement from in-ring competition. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people saw coming. He had to vacate the title after WrestleMania 30. Then he came back, won the Intercontinental title, and had to vacate the title again. And it was just, you had to expect that he was having serious health issues. Well, he gave his retirement speech on Raw. It was very emotional. It was probably the best retirement speech I've seen. He handled it extremely well. You know, there were tears. But he said how grateful he was for all these things. And if you haven't watched the full speech, you got to check it out, because Daniel Bryan is someone who is very special to me, and I know he's very special to a lot of wrestling fans, as we can see for the past few years. Daniel Bryan actually got me back into wrestling, basically, because I kind of stopped around early 2009-ish, just because I didn't have time to keep up on it. I just wasn't super interested anymore. And beginning of 2012, I decided to flip it back on, and I turned on SmackDown, and the person that I saw was Daniel Bryan, and this was when he was the World Heavyweight Champion. He was a cocky, weaselly, cowardly heel, and it was just so entertaining to me. His character, he was so funny, yet he was so damn good in the ring. And I was just drawn to him. And then, leading into WrestleMania 28, the match I was most excited for on that card, a card that had CM Punk versus Chris Jericho, The Undertaker versus Triple H, and John Cena versus The Rock, the match I was most excited for was Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. And here it comes, it's the first match, and it lasts 18 seconds, and Daniel Bryan loses. And I was shocked and upset that until the Hell in a Cell match, the 5th match on the card, I couldn't even process what was happening on WrestleMania. But that night is when, everyone started rallying together and getting behind Bryan, and the whole Daniel Bryan story is just, it's so inspirational and just so awesome. Like, it's so unfortunate that he had to retire, but look at the career he had. Outside of WWE, he had a phenomenal career in tons of promotions, but as far as WWE, being like the first one eliminated on NXT, but being the one that everyone loved and wanted to win. Debuting with the Nexus, getting fired for being too aggressive, then getting rehired 2 months later. What if they hadn't rehired him? But they did. He returned in the main event of SummerSlam, then goes on to win the United States Championship, then wins Money in the Bank the next year, cashes in, wins the World Heavyweight title, wins the WWE Tag Team titles with Kane and gets to show this comedic side that gets a lot more people behind him. Then, goes on to split with Kane, become a megastar, win the WWE title at SummerSlam in 2013 against John Cena cleanly. And right there is when they start one of the best stories of this wrestling era. Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. Him fighting Randy Orton and just chasing the WWE Championship was such a good story, but the thing is, WWE didn't want to carry it on. They didn't see a payoff for Daniel Bryan. And, he wasn't in the Royal Rumble of 2014, and there was a lot of backlash for that. And because of the Yes movement, which, it's a real thing. Everyone was getting so behind Daniel Bryan, and everyone just wanted to see him succeed so much that, that was a big factor in getting him into the WrestleMania 30 main event. And at WrestleMania 30, he had the best WrestleMania moment, in my opinion, ever. The first match, having a 25 to 30 minute match with Triple H, and a phenomenal match, defeating Triple H clean. Then later on that night, defeating Batista and Randy Orton in a triple threat match to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, he had to vacate the title shortly after, but nothing will ever take away or change that WrestleMania 30 moment. That right there was just, as a fan, it was what wrestling is all about. And then, getting to come back for one last run, win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, and yes, unfortunately having to vacate it shortly after, it was good to see him back again. So now he's officially retired, but this is good because now, he's only 34. Yes, it sucks that he can't wrestle anymore and do what he loves, but now he can be healthy and happy and live a healthy life with his family, have children, and not have to worry about getting concussions or neck injuries or shoulder injuries or back injuries or any more injuries from wrestling. So I'm happy for him. I'm so just happy that he didn't get even more hurt from wrestling and that he's getting to retire on top in his hometown, like he said on Raw, in front of his friends and his family and his fans and everyone. And it was such a great segment. So I just wanted to share a little bit, Daniel Bryan hooked me back into wrestling, and he's my favorite wrestler basically up until he had to stop wrestling. So and outside of that, he was a big part, along with CM Punk, to all of these smaller indie guys getting the shots that they're getting now. Without Daniel Bryan, it showed that a indie darling, a smaller guy, can be the world champion. Guys like Sami Zayn and Finn Balor and Neville, these guys are now getting a better shot because of guys like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. So Bryan has done so much for the industry, and I know I've said a lot here in these past few minutes, but really the best thing to say is thank you, Daniel Bryan. So it was announced that at Fastlane, it will be Charlotte defending the Divas Championship against Brie Bella. Also at Fastlane, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks will team up to take on Team Bad members Naomi and Tamina. So last week at an NXT house show, Finn Balor injured his ankle after doing the coup de grace. Not sure how serious it is, but luckily they have all their NXT stuff taped until NXT TakeOver Dallas, which I believe is April 1st or around there. So hopefully he'll be all good by then. Won't have to vacate the title, and all NXT plans can go as planned. So other than Daniel Bryan's retirement, the other biggest news has to do with Titus ONeil, and it kind of has to do with Daniel Bryan's retirement. So after Raw, there was a thing on the network. It was basically just showing the celebration continue. And as Vince McMahon and Stephanie were walking back up the stage out into the back, Titus ONeil ended up grabbing Vince McMahon, and it was very odd. But apparently he's been suspended for this. It was originally 90 days. Now it's apparently been down to 60 days. So there's a lot of differing opinions on this. I don't really know why Titus did that. In interviews or, on comments, he said that he did it because he was just joking around and playing around like, oh, ladies first, let Stephanie go ahead of you. So I don't think that Titus necessarily should be severely punished for this, but it's more of the fact that it was on camera, all that. I think that he should get a warning or talking to. I don't think he needs to be suspended for however many days. I've heard it's more of just to set an example to show you can't horse around and stuff like that. But I don't think that if it were such a solemn moment, a big retirement speech, I don't think that there would be as much repercussions for what he did. But either way, Titus ONeil is apparently suspended for 60 days for unprofessional conduct. So there have been rumors going around that Braun Strowman may be facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. Well, now rumor has it that those plans are off the table, but plans are in place for Braun Strowman to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which in my opinion is a lot better, makes a lot more sense, and then after that to get a big title push against Roman Reigns. This I'm not as big on because he's not going to beat Roman Reigns, and I don't want him to win the world title, but I'd much rather see Bray Wyatt, the leader of the Wyatt family, challenge for the world title or become the world heavyweight champion over Braun Strowman. However, we'll just have to see. I mean, maybe Strowman can make some serious improvement by then, but I don't think a guy who can't go, is still very green, should be fighting for the world heavyweight title. But him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I think is a very good idea. And speaking of WrestleMania and The Undertaker, rumor has it that Kevin Owens asked to work with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but was shot down. I don't know about the legitimacy of that. I'm sure that Kevin Owens was maybe a written name to possibly face The Undertaker, but I think that would be a great match. There's only so many people that you could have fight The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And with the names that are on the injured list and the names who could actually have a good match with Undertaker and make it a big deal, I think Kevin Owens should be at the top of that list. I mean, other than that, what do you got? AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose. I would say that Kevin Owens would be great for that. So those are all the news and rumors and a recap that I've got for this week. But it was a good week, but it was also, like I said, a bittersweet week because we're losing Daniel Bryan, but it's so good because now he can be healthy, and his career, the book is closed, but we got closure for it. We don't have to wonder anymore if he's coming back. We know he's done, but we know that he's healthy and he's not going to be getting concussions anymore from putting his body on the line for us. And it just seems fitting that the 100th episode of this will be the same week that Daniel Bryan has to retire. Like I said, someone who is just so special to me as a wrestling fan. So this episode is completely dedicated to Daniel Bryan, but having done this 100 weeks, it's just weird to think about. That's almost 2 years of every Friday setting up this stuff and recording this, and it's a lot of fun. And I know I don't get that many viewers, but I like to provide this resource for the people who do decide to watch it. And in these 100 weeks, we've just had some incredible things to report on. We've had championship victories like Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 31 in the main event and winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We had, like I mentioned earlier, Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania 30 triumph, one of the biggest payoffs ever. We had Brock Lesnar winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against John Cena at SummerSlam in the most dominating championship match ever. We had debuts in WWE like Paige debuting the night after WrestleMania 30, defeating AJ Lee to win the Divas title. We had Sting debuting at Survivor Series in 2014 and a huge shock. And although after that debut, his career in WWE, he didn't get to do much and it wasn't the best, it was still an amazing moment. And we had AJ Styles recently debuting at the Royal Rumble, and now, his career is going to be awesome here in WWE. We had insane moments that you never thought would happen, like The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania being broken by Brock Lesnar. I mean, that was just the most shocking thing ever, and I'm glad I got to, report about it here. We had Seth Rollins turning his back on the Shield. One of those moments where you knew the Shield had to end, but you didn't know Seth Rollins was going to do it, and, it was the perfect ending, and now look at them. Seth Rollins held the world title for most of 2015. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns are in the title picture now. And we had Kevin Owens defeating John Cena in his first main roster match cleanly. I mean, that's huge. And who can forget the signings of Kenta, now Hideo Itami, Prince Devitt, now Finn Balor, and Kevin Steen, now Kevin Owens. When those were announced, it was such a big deal. And I mean, it's obviously a huge deal now because look at where they are in WWE and NXT. And along with those amazing moments that were so exciting and fun to report on, we had unfortunate news that was just terrible to report on, like the passings of Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes and the Ultimate Warrior, along with all of the injuries we've had these past 2 years, from Seth Rollins to John Cena to Randy Orton to Hideo Itami to Sami Zayn to Cesaro to Nikki Bella to all these people. So many people have gotten injured. It's just one of the worst years for injuries. So thank you for watching this episode of Wrestling Roundup. Thanks for watching the past 100 episodes if you've had, or should I say 99 episodes. And I hope that you'll stick with me for the next ones. So have a great week. I'll see you later. And thank you, Daniel Bryan.